Democrats are finally getting their own version of the Koch brothers. I'm not sure our next guest is going to like that description, but the famous libertarian mega donors, those are the Koch brothers who regularly boost Republican candidates. Well, billionaire Tom Steyer is spreading around $110 million ahead of the midterm elections, making him a huge voice in a party that's trying to retain power or regain power in Congress this fall.
Steyer's organization, Next Gen America, and Need to Impeach take on the president directly and elect Democrats in the fall midterms. And one candidate he backed already won a shocking upset. We've been talking about him all morning. Tallahassee Mayor Andrew Gillum, now the Democratic nominee for governor in the state of Florida. Joining us now is the man himself, Tom Steyer. All right, Tom, welcome. I haven't seen you in a while. What does Gillum's surprise victory mean for Democrats?
Well, Stephanie, I think what Andrew Gillum represents is a willingness to confront the real problems that Floridians face and tell the truth about them straightforwardly and honestly. And in 2018, that's a very exciting prospect.
And let me just ask you about this, Tom. We talked to Andrew Gillum, I don't know, I'm trying to think, about 3 weeks ago or something, and it wasn't looking great for him. He was confident, but, you know, the numbers were elsewhere. The money was elsewhere. What do you think caused him to, as a progressive, by the way, take the lead in this race? And how do you think that works for him in the election?
Well, Allie, I think the biggest fact about the Florida primary on Tuesday is that Democratic turnout was up 70% from 4 years ago. I think what happened was that Andrew Gillum was talking directly to the largest party in the United States of America, which is I Don't Vote Party. And they showed up because they could hear him talking about the things that affect them in a straightforward way, in a common sense way. And I think that they decided, you know what? This is a change. This system is responding to me, and I need to go out and vote.
Well, what is the Democrats' message and what is the voice? Is there a risk that an Andrew Gillum, who did get supercharged when he got the backing of Bernie Sanders, even if he wasn't a Bernie Sanders guy initially, is there a risk that the left pushes too far and alienates the electorate
or
come November?
The I Don't Vote Party that you were just talking about?
Stephanie, let me say this. I don't accept that frame that you just gave.
Okay, then tell me.
Dealing with the real problems that Americans face, things like affordable health care, the fact that wages haven't gone up in 40 years, that somehow dealing straightforwardly with those problems is progressive. To me, that's telling the truth in a commonsensical way. And I believe that's what Americans will respond to. What they have not responded to is political jargon, an unwillingness to face the truth, and an unwillingness to deal with the problems that our corporate takeover of democracy has left us with.
Tom, you're pursuing impeachment against President Trump. Andrew Gillum has actually signed on that. Polling still doesn't indicate that half of Americans are there yet. About 44% say that the House should consider impeaching Donald Trump. About 47% say no. The margin of error on that is about 3%. So it's close, but it's not there. Do you think that should be a primary focus of Republicans in November?
I think that the vote in November in the United States will have a big portion of it dealing with a referendum on this administration and this president. And part of that referendum will have to do with his continual, constant lawlessness, his disregard for the rule of law, and his breaking his faith with the American people. I think that regardless of what you're running for, part of the question in the United States is, do you believe that the administration and the president should be representing and fairly dealing with all of the American people, and should he obey the law? Yes, that's a huge question in American politics.
So while we could find or do find the president's constant lying or lawlessness or reprehensible behavior morally unacceptable, a lot of people vote pretty selfishly, and they say, what's going to give me more money in my pocket?
Or what's going to keep, or what's going to make abortion illegal, or what's going to make sure that my Second Amendment rights stay the same. And clearly that adds up to enough people that the president still has something akin to 40% of the electorate in polls. It's kind of fascinating to us, as I'm sure it is to you, but how do we talk about that?
Well, let me start with the first thing that you said, which is about the economy. Because at the time of full employment, when growth is pretty good, What we saw was that the average wage, the buying power of the average wage went down last year.
Right, because
That means
inflation
that
was
the
up by
vast bulk
2.9%.
of Americans, their take-home pay could purchase fewer goods and services than at the beginning of the year. So when people talk about a successful economy and that things are good, actually, for about 80% of Americans, this isn't working at all. Things are actually worse.
I'm going to speak for both of us. We agree with you. Then I find it puzzling when you look at small and large business sentiment. They're up. Consumer confidence is up. Why is that, despite the facts you just outlined?
Well, in terms of business confidence, my underlying thesis of what's going on is there has been a corporate takeover of our democracy. And as a result, business is having its way. It got a huge tax cut, and the people associated with big corporations got a big tax cut. But the average American didn't participate that in a big way. And now we're going to see that without the money going into the government, that we're going to have all kinds of cuts to their service
Then why
programs.
is consumer confidence up?
Well, what I can say is this. What I look at is how people feel about this president, which, as you say, has been constant, but at a low level. What we are seeing is great passion. And Florida is a perfect example, Stephanie, of a 70% increase in Democratic turnout last Tuesday. What that says is people are deeply upset with this administration, deeply upset with their policies, and deeply upset with their lawlessness.
Hey, MSNBC fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there and click on any of the videos here to watch the latest interviews and highlights. You can get more MSNBC for free every day with our newsletters. Just visit msnbc.com/newsletters to sign up now.